The 1970s were a pivotal decade for motorcycle performance, with Japanese manufacturers like Kawasaki, Honda, and Suzuki leading the charge in speed and engineering innovation. We'll show you the 12 fastest motorcycles from the era that defined a generation. Love classic bikes or just epic stories? Hit that subscribe button and let's get rolling. Number 12 on our list, Norton Commando 850. A motorcycle that solved one of the biggest problems in the 1970s performance riding: vibration. The Commando 850 wasn't just fast at 115 miles per hour, it was comfortable getting there. Norton's isolastic system was revolutionary for 1973. Instead of letting that 828 cubic centimeter twin-cylinder engine shake the rider's fillings loose, they mounted the entire powertrain on rubber isolators. The result? A bike that could cruise at highway speeds without turning your hands numb. That air-cooled OHV twin produced 60 horsepower, and every bit of it was usable. The 4.9-second 0 to 60 time proved this wasn't just about top speed, it was about accessible performance. The precise handling came from a frame that actually worked with the engine instead of fighting it. Motorcycle News awarded the Commando Machine of the Year 5 consecutive times, something that speaks to both its performance and reliability. Some historians argue that Norton's financial troubles overshadowed the bike's engineering achievements, but the numbers don't lie. That 115 miles per hour top speed might seem modest by modern standards, but in 1973, it represented genuine high performance wrapped in a package that didn't beat you to death. The Commando proved that British engineering could still compete with the rising Japanese manufacturers. For riders who wanted speed without sacrifice, the Norton Commando 850 delivered sophistication that many bikes of the era couldn't match. Number 11. Kawasaki H2 MachV. They called it the Widowmaker, and that nickname wasn't marketing hyperbole. The H2 MachV was a 748 cubic centimeter two-stroke triple that delivered 120 miles per hour, along with handling characteristics that could humble even experienced riders. "74 horsepower from a two-stroke triple meant explosive power delivery. That 4.5-second 0 to 60 time came with a catch. The power hit like a sledgehammer, and the chassis wasn't always ready for it. The air-cooled three-cylinder engine would surge forward with violent acceleration. Then the front wheel would lift. Then things got interesting. This was 1972 engineering at its most raw. No fancy electronics, no sophisticated suspension tuning. Just pure, unfiltered power wrapped in a frame that did its best to keep up. The handling was notoriously tricky because two-stroke power doesn't build gradually. It explodes. Some motorcycle historians argue that the H2's reputation for danger was exaggerated by riders who weren't prepared for its unique characteristics. But period reviews consistently warned about its unpredictable nature. The bike demanded respect and skill in equal measure. That 120 miles per hour top speed came at a price. Fuel economy was terrible, the exhaust was smoky, and maintenance was frequent. But for riders who wanted the fastest acceleration money could buy in 1972, nothing else compared. The Widowmaker earned its nickname, but it also earned its place in motorcycle history. At number 10, Honda CB750. When Honda released the CB750 in 1969, they didn't just build a fast bike, they built the template for every superbike that followed. 125 miles per hour from a 736 cubic centimeter inline-4 might not sound revolutionary today, but in 1969, it was unprecedented. That SOHC air-cooled engine produced 67 horsepower with a smoothness that British twins couldn't match. Four cylinders meant 4 times the power pulses, and that translated to vibration-free performance. But speed was only part of the story. The CB750 introduced the world's first mass-produced motorcycle disc brake. While other manufacturers were still using drum brakes, Honda was stopping their superbike with technology borrowed from racing. The reliability was what really shocked the motorcycle world. British bikes of the era leaked oil, vibrated, and required constant attention. The Honda started every time, ran smoothly, and didn't leave puddles in your garage. Some purists argued that the CB750 lacked character compared to European bikes, but reliability is its own form of character. This bike established the superbike formula: 4 cylinders, overhead cams, disc brakes, and bulletproof reliability. Every modern sport bike traces its lineage back to this machine. The CB750 didn't just hit 125 miles per hour. It redefined what a motorcycle could be: fast, reliable, sophisticated, and available to anyone with the money to buy one. Number 9. Levera 1003C. While the Japanese were dominating with their inline 4s, Italy's Levera had a different answer to the speed question. The 1003C proved that you didn't need to be from Japan to build a bike that could hit 130 miles per hour. That 981 cubic centimeter 3-cylinder engine was pure Italian passion wrapped in DOHC sophistication. 78 horsepower and 63 pound-feet of torque, delivered through a robust, air-cooled triple that sounded like nothing else on the road. The power delivery was linear and predictable, making that 130 miles per hour top speed accessible to skilled riders. What set the Levera apart wasn't just the performance, it was the engineering philosophy. While Japanese bikes focused on refinement and reliability, the 3C embraced the Italian approach: raw mechanical honesty with character you could feel through the handlebars. The build quality was substantial, almost agricultural in its robustness. The triple-cylinder layout provided a perfect compromise between the smoothness of a 4-cylinder and the character of a twin. That distinctive exhaust note announced your arrival from blocks away, and the handling was confident at both city speeds and highway velocities. Some motorcycle journalists argued that the Levera's higher price couldn't justify choosing it over Japanese alternatives, but they missed the emotional component. This wasn't just transportation, it was an experience. For riders who wanted 130 miles per hour with Italian soul, the Levera 1003C delivered performance with a personality that mass-produced bikes couldn't match. Number 8. Moto Le Mans 850. Moto Guzzi mounted an 844 cubic centimeter V-twin transversely and proved that shaft drive could deliver 130 miles per hour with style. 71 horsepower might not sound intimidating, but that air-cooled OHV V-twin delivered its power with a character that inline engines couldn't match. The transverse mounting meant the crankshaft ran perpendicular to the frame, creating a unique torque reaction that experienced riders learned to love. That shaft drive eliminated chain maintenance while providing smooth, reliable power transfer. The Le Mans 850 introduced the motorcycle world to linked braking systems. The innovative setup connected front and rear brakes, providing balanced stopping power that was ahead of its time. Combined with that low center of gravity from the longitudinal V-twin, the handling was both stable and engaging. Italian style wasn't just about appearance, it was about engineering philosophy. The Le Mans proved that sport touring didn't require compromise, delivering 130 miles per hour capability with long-distance comfort. The riding position was aggressive enough for spirited riding, but comfortable enough for extended tours. Some critics argued that the shaft drive added unnecessary weight and complexity, but Guzzi riders understood the trade-off. No chain adjustments, no sprocket wear, no maintenance headaches, just smooth, reliable power delivery, mile after mile. The Le Mans 850 demonstrated that there was more than one way to build a fast motorcycle. 7th place goes to the Ducati 750 Supersport. Only 401 bikes were ever built, making the 750 Supersport one of the rarest machines to crack 130 miles per hour in the 1970s. Ducati's desmodromic valve system was the secret weapon that separated this bike from everything else on the road. That 748 cubic centimeter L-twin produced 72 horsepower through engineering that Formula One teams would later adopt. Desmodromic valves don't rely on springs to close. They're mechanically opened and closed by separate cam lobes. The result? Higher RPM capability and more precise valve timing than conventional engines could achieve. The 4.4-second 0 to 60 time proved this wasn't just about top speed. It was about acceleration that could embarrass much larger engines. That air-cooled L-twin delivered power with a distinctive character that made every ride memorable. The racing heritage showed in every component, from the clip-on handlebars to the rear set foot pegs. Bologna's engineers understood that 130 miles per hour wasn't just about horsepower, it was about the complete package. The frame geometry was race-bred, the suspension was track-tuned, and the brakes were adequate for the bike's performance envelope. Some collectors argue that the 750 Supersport's limited production makes it more of a homologation special than a true production bike, but Ducati met the minimum requirements for racing eligibility. For riders lucky enough to own one, the 750 Supersport delivered 130 miles per hour with mechanical artistry that mass-produced bikes couldn't match. Taking the sixth spot, Kawasaki KZ900. Evolution, not revolution, defined the KZ900. Kawasaki took everything they learned from the original Z1 and refined it into a machine that could hit 132 miles per hour without trying to kill you in the process. That 903 cubic centimeter inline-4 produced 82 horsepower with improved frame geometry that actually worked with the engine instead of fighting it. The DOHC air-cooled 4 delivered smooth, predictable power that made the 3.7-second 0 to 60 sprint feel effortless rather than violent. Frame improvements were subtle but significant. Better steering head angles, revised suspension mounting points, and stronger construction materials transformed the handling characteristics. Where the original Z1 could be unpredictable at speed, the KZ900 inspired confidence even when approaching its 132 miles per hour maximum. The electrical system received attention too, addressing reliability issues that had plagued earlier Kawasaki models. Improved charging systems and better quality control meant fewer roadside breakdowns and more time enjoying that substantial power output. Critics noted that the KZ900 lacked the raw edge of its predecessor, arguing that refinement came at the cost of character. But most riders appreciated the improved usability, especially during long highway runs where stability mattered more than excitement. The KZ900 proved that Japanese manufacturers could learn from their mistakes, delivering genuine high performance wrapped in a package that didn't require expert-level riding skills to enjoy safely. Fifth place, Suzuki GS1000. Suzuki entered the superbike wars late, but they learned from everyone else's mistakes. The GS1000 didn't just hit 135 miles per hour. It did so with a reliability that made other manufacturers take notice. That 997 cubic centimeter inline-4 produced 87 horsepower through advanced DOHC engineering that prioritized longevity over peak output. The valve timing was sophisticated for 1978, delivering smooth power across the entire RPM range rather than concentrating it in a narrow band. What separated the GS1000 from its competitors wasn't just the speed. It was the complete package. The suspension was well balanced, the brakes were adequate for the performance, and the electrical system actually worked consistently. While other manufacturers were still debugging their big-bore 4s, Suzuki delivered a finished product. The engine's double overhead cam design allowed for optimal airflow and precise valve control. That translated to both performance and efficiency, making the GS1000 a practical choice for riders who wanted superbike performance without constant maintenance headaches. Period reviews praised the bike's balance and power delivery, noting that it felt more refined than many of its contemporaries. Some critics argued that Suzuki played it too safe, sacrificing character for reliability, but most riders appreciated the dependable performance. The GS1000 proved that being last to market could be an advantage, allowing Suzuki to build a superbike that actually worked as advertised, mile after reliable mile. Number 4. Kawasaki KZ1300. 6 cylinders, liquid cooling, and 135 miles per hour. The KZ1300 represented Kawasaki's most ambitious engineering project of the decade. That 1,286 cubic centimeter inline-6 produced 120 horsepower with technology that wouldn't become mainstream for another decade. Water cooling was revolutionary for 1979. While other manufacturers struggled with air-cooled engines that ran hot and lost power in traffic, the KZ1300 maintained consistent performance regardless of conditions. The liquid cooling system allowed for tighter tolerances and more aggressive tuning, resulting in that substantial horsepower output. The six-cylinder engine was smooth beyond anything available at the time. 6 power pulses per crankshaft revolution eliminated virtually all vibration, creating a riding experience that felt more like a luxury car than a motorcycle. That DOHC design incorporated precise fuel delivery and advanced ignition timing. But the KZ1300 came with trade-offs. The complexity meant higher purchase prices and more expensive maintenance. The weight was substantial, making low-speed maneuvering challenging for some riders. Critics argued that 6 cylinders were unnecessary for motorcycle applications, adding complexity without proportional benefits. The bike's touring capabilities were exceptional, with that smooth engine and comfortable riding position making long-distance travel effortless. The 135 miles per hour top speed was delivered without drama or stress. Kawasaki's KZ1300 demonstrated that motorcycle engineering could push boundaries, even if mainstream acceptance would take years to develop. Taking third place, Kawasaki Z1R. Aerodynamics finally came to motorcycles with the Z1R. That distinctive fairing wasn't just for show. It was functional engineering that helped push this machine to 137 miles per hour with less effort than unfaired bikes required. The 1,015 cubic centimeter inline 4 produced 90 horsepower, but the real story was how that power was delivered to the road. The DOHC air-cooled engine benefited from improved cooling airflow thanks to the fairing design, allowing for more consistent performance during extended high-speed runs. Kawasaki learned from the original Z1's handling quirks, redesigning the frame geometry and suspension mounting points. The result was a bike that remained stable even when approaching its 137 miles per hour maximum. The fairings reduced wind fatigue, making sustained high speeds more comfortable for the rider. The suspension improvements were subtle but significant. Better damping rates and spring selection transformed the handling characteristics, creating confidence at both city speeds and highway velocities. The braking system received upgrades too, providing stopping power adequate for the increased performance. Some traditionalists argued that fairings compromised the naked bike aesthetic that made the original Z1 iconic, but performance-oriented riders appreciated the practical benefits. Wind protection and improved aerodynamics weren't just comfort features, they were performance enhancements. The Z1R proved that motorcycles could evolve beyond simple engine upgrades, incorporating aerodynamic principles that would become standard in the following decade. Form finally followed function in motorcycle design. Second place belongs to Honda CBX. 24 valves, 6 cylinders, and 103 horsepower. The CBX was Honda's answer to the question nobody asked. How do you make a motorcycle engine sound like a Formula One car? The result hit 137 miles per hour with an exhaust note that could wake the dead. That 1,047 cubic centimeter inline 6 was pure mechanical artistry. The DOHC air-cooled engine featured synchronized carburetors that required precise tuning but delivered seamless power across the entire RPM range. 6 cylinders meant 6 power pulses per crankshaft revolution, creating smoothness that 4-cylinder engines couldn't match. The engineering complexity was staggering for 1978. 24 valves required precise timing and adjustment, while the 6 carburetors demanded expert-level maintenance knowledge. But when properly tuned, the CBX delivered performance that justified the complexity. That 137 miles per hour top speed came with a soundtrack that motorcycle enthusiasts still talk about decades later. The 6-cylinder wail at full throttle was intoxicating, creating an emotional connection that transcended mere transportation. Critics argued that the CBX was too complex for practical use, requiring frequent adjustments and expensive maintenance. The weight was substantial, and low-speed handling suffered from the wide engine configuration. But Honda wasn't building this bike for practicality. The CBX represented engineering ambition at its peak, proving that motorcycles could be mechanical art as much as transportation. For riders who wanted 137 miles per hour with symphonic accompaniment, nothing else compared. Number 1. Tunstall Suzuki GS1000 CS, 154.2 miles per hour. Let that sink in for a moment. In 1979, when most motorcycles struggled to break 130, the Tunstall Suzuki achieved speeds that wouldn't be common until decades later. Paul Tunstall's modifications transformed the reliable GS1000 into something extraordinary. The aftermarket fairing reduced wind resistance, taller gearing, optimized highway performance, and engine tweaks extracted every possible horsepower from that 997 cubic centimeter inline-4. The result was approximately 90 horsepower delivered through aerodynamics that actually worked. Journalist L.J.K. Setright's official test for the Guinness Book of Motorcycling Facts and Feats legitimized the 154.2 miles per hour claim. Suzuki GB backed the modifications with warranty coverage, blurring the line between aftermarket and factory performance. The limited production status raises questions about whether this qualifies as a true production motorcycle, but the numbers don't lie. This was the fastest bike you could buy in 1979, even if only a few were ever built. Some purists argue that extensive modifications disqualify the Tunstall from production bike status, but the warranty backing and official recognition suggest otherwise. The bike met racing homologation requirements while delivering street-legal performance. The Tunstall Suzuki GS1000 CS represented the absolute peak of 1970s motorcycle performance. 154.2 miles per hour was a number that wouldn't be regularly achieved until the superbike wars of the 1980s. For riders, these machines laid the groundwork for everything we take for granted today. That Honda CBX's 24-valve complexity? It taught engineers how to make high-performance engines reliable enough for daily use. The Kawasaki KZ1300's liquid cooling? Standard technology on virtually every modern sport bike. The Tunstall's aerodynamic fairing? The foundation of every race replica that followed. But the impact extends beyond the motorcycle community. These bikes proved that engineering innovation could come from anywhere. Japanese manufacturers challenged British and Italian dominance, not through marketing, but through better engineering. They showed that reliability and performance weren't mutually exclusive, changing consumer expectations across all automotive segments. The speed chase of the 1970s pushed boundaries that benefited everyone. Better metallurgy, improved manufacturing processes, advanced aerodynamics, all developed for motorcycles that would hit 150 miles per hour, filtered down to everyday transportation. Your modern car's fuel injection system? Tested first on motorcycles like these. Drop a comment below and let us know which of these speed demons caught your attention. Did you ride any of these back in the day? If you enjoyed this journey through the fastest bikes of the 70s, you're going to love what's coming next. We're diving into the 12 rarest Harley-Davidson motorcycles of the 1980s. Machines so exclusive that most people didn't even know they existed. From factory specials to limited production runs that Harley tried to forget, these bikes tell stories that go way beyond horsepower and speed. Hit subscribe and ring that notification bell. See you in the next video.